Hello and welcome to a little journey for the next few minutes. I want to ask a question just in the beginning. Fake news or truth? What else can I believe? Yeah, that is a question that came up in my mind throughout the last months more than ever before. First time that I was confronted with fake news was a few years back when a journalist wrote about our church, and I realized, wow, it's really happening. People are writing about our church with really untrue stories. And that's when I realized people really write about fake news. Throughout the last weeks and months, we all had the challenge to realize we have to decide between what is fake news and what is truth. We never really realize it when we read it. We just have the question inside of us. Is it really true about what happened in the USA? Was the election not really with proper manners? What happened really there when they were electing the new president? What about the vaccination? Is it helping or does it make me sick? What should I believe in? Well, this is questions that are not really for life or death. But there are questions that are in our life that are very important. And I want to show you the challenge we have, the dilemma between choosing from fake news or truth in our life. We have to distinguish what we rely on. Where do we put our faith in? It's like the sand and the stone. There are many important subjects in our lives, for example, our health. Who else loves to be healthy? We all want to be healthy, and we say to each other, stay healthy. The most important thing is that you're healthy. Well, what happens when health goes through your hand like the sand? When you become sick and you have the challenge of being sick to death and you don't have any future, then it's like sand that's going through your hands. We say each other, stay healthy, but it doesn't help. What about the finances? We all, even especially as Swiss people, we want to have really solid finances. What happens when a crisis comes and all the value in your bank is going down? What happens when your partner dies and you always said the most important is relationship in my life and you try to hold on to it, but maybe you lose a partner, you lose your wife, your husband. What happens then? What happens when you realize in your life you put your faith in the wrong thing? We all want to trust on truth. We want to put our lives on solid stone. That's what we all want, because our life should matter and our life should last as long as we live, of course. We want to have solid relationships. We want to have solid finances. We want to have solid health. Of course we want. But what is really truth in our life? Where can we rely on? What can I put my trust in? I want to show you a few sentences that Jesus said about himself. Jesus Christ, he said about himself, I am the way, I am the truth. Wow, he says, I am the truth. So truth is a person. I am the life and I am the resurrection. So when we are looking for solid truth in our life, when we are looking for a solid rock, we have to take in a chance that Jesus is the truth for our life. Have you ever thought about it, that maybe Jesus is the solid rock where you can put your life on? C.S. Lewis is a very famous author, and he said the following thing about Jesus Christ, about Christianity. He said, Christianity, if false, is of no importance, and if true, of infinite importance. The only thing it cannot be is moderately important. So our challenge is to decide what we believe in, what we rely on. Where do we put our trust in? If Jesus Christ really lived, died, and rose again, then we should really think about trusting him, about giving our lives to him, about building our lives on the solid rock of Jesus, his truths. Well, Easter is around the corner. In the next weeks, we're going to have Easter. Maybe you just think about where to go, where you're going to spend the long weekend. Maybe you say, well, Easter, that's just about Easter bunnies and I don't really care about it. But what if we ask ourselves the question, is Easter fake news or is Easter really truth? Did Jesus die or did he not die? Did Jesus rise from the dead or didn't he? Well, maybe you say it's just about a rabbit, it's about just a fairy tale that Jesus died and rose again. I don't mind. It's both the same. I want to invite you to look at a few facts that help us realize that the life and death of Jesus really happened, and people wrote about it, and we know it is really true. The first thing we know that Jesus lived and he died is because people wrote about it. Not just the New Testamental authors that wrote the Bible, but also like Flavius Josephus, a Roman author. He wrote about the life of Jesus and his death on the cross. We know that. It's a historical fact that Jesus was walking on this earth and he lived. The second thing is that we know the grave was empty. The Romans had to bring up stories because the grave was really empty. Even the friends of Jesus, they realized the grave is empty. Jesus is not there anymore. His dead body wasn't there. So we know everybody there, they agreed on the fact that the grave was empty. And the third thing is we know from about 500 people who witnessed Jesus alive after his death. He showed up in the life of many friends after his death. And we read that in the Bible many, many times. And the fourth fact is the following: Christianity evolved to a worldwide movement. Today, 2021 years after the death and resurrection of Jesus, almost a third of all humanity says we are Christians. If that was a lie, if Jesus, his life, his death, his resurrection were really just a fake news, I don't believe we would still realize that Jesus lived. We wouldn't have churches that's growing. We wouldn't have so many people on earth that still experience Jesus personally today in their personal life. You know, we should think about the fact that maybe Jesus really lived. And if he lived, then he is very important for our lives. We should think about the fact very clearly and decide for our lives, is it fake news or truth? Many people, as I told before, experience Jesus very personally, still today. And one of these are going to tell their story right now. This is Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim, and I grew up in a Christian household, and with that I heard from an early age on that we as Christians, we believe in a God who loves to speak and loves to communicate, and he wants to know me. You know, there was a problem with that though, because I never heard his voice, and that led to the conclusion in my life that either this God we're always talking about, he doesn't exist at all, or even worse, that this God, he exists, but he doesn't know me, or he doesn't want to know me. And that's a real desperate place to live in, you know? And I remember a couple of years ago, we went to this camp in northern Italy, and I went on a walk one day, sat down in this little forest and prayed the most transparent and desperate prayer I've ever prayed. I said, hey Jesus, if you are real, you have to show me. I'm so tired of persuading myself of your existence and your goodness. I'm tired of trying to find you. If you're real, you have to find me. And now I opened my eyes and there were just two flowers in front of me, and I'm not a big plant expert, but I'm pretty sure they were the same species, but they looked very different. One was really healthy, really strong, really beautiful, and the other one was dry, dead, brown. And in that moment, I had this thought on my heart, this voice from my innermost being that spoke to me and said, hey Tim, you can either live with me and your life will look like the beautiful flower, or you can live without me. The logical consequence of that is that your life is ending up looking like the dry flower. Your choice. And you know what gets me the most in this moment was that God spoke to me and he called me by my name. And from that moment on, I was sure He knows me, and he knows who I am. And I'm pretty sure he knows who you are.
God knows about you. And what I love about the story of Tim is the fact that he went after this God. He was not just content with fake news, with cheap answers. He wanted to meet the truth. He wanted to know whether God really sees him or not. And I want to invite you to do the same. Make yourself on the way. Search for the God, because we have a very precious life. Let us rely on truth, not on fake news. Let us rely on a God who gave himself away at the cross, and he invited you to meet him personally. And that's what's going to happen. He said, I am the life, and I am the way, I am the truth. And he said, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live. So when you believe in him, you will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Do you think Jesus is fake news or truth? What are you putting your faith in? I invite you to make yourself on a journey and find Jesus personally. He will meet you because he is a God who wants to find you as well.